All right.
Alrighty, we are here with Mr. Corey White.
Oh, wow.
Hello.
The one and only. Incredible episode. But before we get into what we talked about, today's episode is brought to you by Raunchy Brewing, the beer that's actually good.
It's actually good. If you want to buy some, jump on the Instagram, link in bio. You can order direct. So Ian will hook you up.
Sends you straight there, and you can, I think they get more profit. Or you might be able to find it in some of the celebrations around WA. So, get around it and have a look. This episode's also brought to you by, as you can see behind Corey there, alltradescover.com.
Alltradescove.com.au.
Oh,
looks like
Cove today. Yeah, alltradescover.com.au. They are a trade insurance company that cover you basically liability insurance, all your sort of injuries and damages.
I think if your tools get nicked.
Yeah. Oh, really? Cool.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think.
They have all aspects covered when it comes to trades, I'm assuming. So
if you're a police officer that needs new handcuffs, they'll cover you.
Yeah, some sort of trade. So get around them.
That will make sense later.
Alltradescover.com.au. Hit them up. And then finally, this week's episode is brought to you by True Grit.
Yep.
True Grit is on this coming weekend, so in 4 or 5 days, on the 14th and 15th of October down at Linga Estate.
If you are going, hit up Branchy on Harjan's messenger or DM just to let us know if anybody's actually going to come and use the code.
Yeah, so, well, potentially, like in my opinion, they're probably going to come anyway if they're coming. But regardless, if you came, because actually I did see people tag people in the post we put up, so maybe there were some. But regardless, it's going to be an awesome event. It's military inspired. What do you call it?
So you can kick an Afghan
course
down a hill with one leg and commit war crimes if you want.
Allegedly.
Yeah, military inspired.
But yeah, it's on this weekend. 10% discount code is True Yarns.
TRUEYARNS.
Fuck, you're good at that. I can't do that.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's very good.
So, we are here with Corey White, fella, talking about The Voice.
Getting sick of talking about that, aren't we? Covered a lot of ground.
Yeah,
Israel, Palestine, Middle East, The Voice, general societal distrust.
Censorship bill. A little bit of Sydney. And
home wrecking whores.
Oh yes,
I think the thing that people will take most out of this episode is your breakdown of the actual history of the Israel-Palestine sort of conflicts. I think that was pretty good because that actually helped me a little bit as well. So
it's actually good.
It's the beer is actually good, but very good episode as always. It's fucking pleasure having you on, Corey.
Cheers, boys. Enjoy your weekends and be good at it.
Sure, let's get hard.
Let's get hard.
Welcome to Hard Yarns Podcast.
I am fucking fat.
Anything Chris White says, please disregard it.
5D is actually a state of being. It's a unity consciousness.
That was Hard Yarns with me, Frankie Russel. I'm going to throw it over to your co-host,
Daniel Delby.
And Cameron Brand.
I would do this and then I'd gong.
Free in attendance for the millions listening at home. Let's get hard.
I didn't record that perfect. All right, you look the goods, and Delby, you look the goods.
Yeah,
always. That little face is like a blue steel face.
What, my concentration face?
When you go like that.
Trying to concentrate.
All right, so forgive me, listeners or viewers.
Yeah,
because we're doing three-way.
Fuck, we're having a three-way for the first time.
Yeah.
3 straight white males. Doing some war porn.
Fuck yeah, war porn.
War porn.
Thanks for joining us, old son.
Thanks for having me back, boys. You well?
Yeah, good, mate. It's always good to have you. It's actually, it's not been long. We had you and Robbie on while Delby was away.
Yeah, that doesn't seem that long ago now, does it?
No, it was about 9 episodes ago.
Yeah, still like it's 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
Time flies as you're getting older, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, what's been going on, man? You just got back from Sydney?
Yeah.
What were you doing there? Your own thing or Sydney Fringe?
Sydney Fringe, mate.
Yeah. And you're allowed?
Surprisingly, yeah. No, they let me in.
Is it a different person that runs Sydney Fringe to Perth Fringe, or is it the same person for all of it?
Different person, but they are affiliated with Century, so I was having to, be careful with what I said and whom I said it to. But yeah, Sydney's a wicked town, mate. It's like Melbourne with better genetics, better weather, people with better mental health.
Yeah.
Better
sense of humour.
Better sense of humour, bro.
Yeah.
Like Newtown is like Fitzroy, but people still got a sense of humour.
Yeah.
The weather's nicer. It's just extortionately expensive place to live.
Yeah. Yeah, we stayed at Manly when we did Up and Joke. I'd never been there before. It was sick.
Manly's a wicked place.
Yeah, really liked it. But I need to go check out all the other little bits like Penrith and Cronulla and all the
Shire.
Yeah, the Shire. So
go down for a riot, Delbs, on the beach, mate.
Fuck yeah, my people.
Some hot laps into fucking Monaro.
Yeah, I could fit in with some of the boys. Yeah. Could pass as Lebanese.
Fake Delbys everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best one. So, but pretty hectic time in the world at the moment.
Yeah, what's happening?
Oh, a bit of war here
and
there.
Is there war? Is there more war?
More war.
I don't think...
Fuck, does that mean we forget about Ukraine now and everyone changes their profile pic?
Absolutely, bro. Yeah. Absolutely.
So who do we have to put fucking I support who?
If you put up the Israeli flag, you're Islamophobic. If you put up the Palestinian flag, you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Just sit in the middle. Don't have.
Is there a Gaza flag?
No.
I support the Gaz.
I saw the front page of the West Australian this morning. It says war in the Gaza.
Well,
it's Gaza, you fucking idiots.
War in the Ukraine. Well, yeah.
It's an interesting because I was trying to figure out today, like, are you is there supposed to be a good guy or a bad guy in this situation, or are they both
bad guys, man?
They're both as bad as each other, hey? It feels.
What's the go?
Yeah, they're both awful. Let's be honest. There are no winners and losers. But I don't think anyone had holy war on their 2023 bingo card. It's like, fuck, that escalated quickly.
Yeah. The way it all happened and unfolded was pretty odd as well. Me and Delby were talking, like, Mossad is probably one of the most sophisticated and it's probably the best, well-resourced intelligence agencies on the planet, and they couldn't predict this, or they couldn't see this happening, or they couldn't stop people on hang gliders from flying in.
Astonishing, right? I mean, Gaza, it is for all intents and purposes the world's largest prison. It's just a prison without a roof. The Israelis control what goes in, what goes out. They control the electricity, the water, the fuel. It's been under a naval blockade for 17 years. And the idea that some Gazan goat herders were able to bring together all this heavy armour and paragliders. Fuck's sake. I mean, the idea that Hamas would have an air force is not something that I entertain.
No, not at all. Yeah.
But then to go in undetected on the anniversary of the Yom Kippur War.
Yeah.
50-year anniversary. It's fucking mind-boggling.
It's crazy. Before we start, like, for listeners that have no idea, like, I try to read myself up on as much as I can, but so you've got Hamas, which is a militant group from Palestine.
They're in Gaza. Yep.
And the Mossad are essentially like the CIA of Israel. Right. And they're the ones that chopped up that dude in the embassy.
In Turkey?
Yeah.
No, that was the Saudis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So before we even start talking about it, for people that know nothing, what is the Gaza Strip and why is Palestine at war with Israel? And I know it's got something to do with Jerusalem, and they think it's their holy land, and someone else wants part of it. But can you explain, like, I'm a fucking year 3?
Well, I mean, you've really got to go back to the end of the Second World War, and even prior to that, the British had a mandate over Palestine. They took that over at the end of the First World War because Palestine, as it then was part of the Ottoman Empire.
Okay.
And anyway, lots of Jews migrated to Palestine. There's been a long idea of, the Jews should have their own state because of the history of pogroms through Eastern Europe, etc. And anyway, they filled in there over the course of, between end of the First World War and up to the Second World War. And then when the Second World War concluded, the British were like, well, this is a nightmare. They were being bombed by what was called the Irgun, which was a paramilitary organisation, which was later absorbed into the Israeli Defence Force. And there's been a succession of wars since the establishment of Israel.
Between
Egypt, Syria, Jordan, who else joined that war? Lebanon.
Right. Fighting over that patch of land.
Yeah, well, the Palestinian question had upset the Arab world.
What was the Palestinian
Well,
country?
it's just like the Palestinians have been kicked off their land violently by the Israeli settlers.
Right.
And
so
Palestine
were there originally?
Yeah, it was never a country though. It was
just a space.
A British protectorate, for want of a better word. And then it was declared a country in 1948.
Yeah. As Israel.
As Israel, a Jewish state.
Okay. Now, the Gaza Strip, is that in Israel? Or is it like a bit between Israel and Palestine and some other countries?
So there's two parts.
It's only 41 kilometres by 20 or something.
It's a very narrow strip of land which borders Israel to that side and Egypt to the south. Egypt controls the southern border. Israel controls the other borders. And then it's blocked by the sea.
Right.
In the north, at the West Bank, that's the other Palestinian population, but that's controlled by Fatah.
Yeah, I read about those
renounced violence years ago, and then they've sort of been included in the decision-making process to a limited extent.
So, in air quotes, peaceful version of extremist Palestinians.
Well, look, not all the Palestinians are extremists. I mean, the Hamas wing you could describe as extremist, but Hamas was elected,
right?
And there was an argument between Hamas and Fatah, and the peaceful elements of Fatah were pushed out, and Hamas is, I guess, the dominant political faction in that part of the world for the Palestinians. But they don't speak for all the Palestinians. I mean, I'm sure there's some Palestinians who are like, maybe we shouldn't go in and massacre people at a fucking music festival.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though, bro, being at that music festival, like off your face on Molly, like
or
loving
LSD.
your mates, and then all of a sudden, the Palos fucking paraglide in with automatic weapons and just start laying waste. I mean, fuck, how frightening would it be?
If you're on any kind of psychedelic, that would be even more hectic.
Fuck, man.
Can you imagine? You just see a paraglider coming in.
Mate.
And you're fucking tripping balls like, is that a fucking paraglider? Then
I seen the videos of it today, like them just paragliding in. It just seemed underneath missiles going off, and it just seemed
unbelievable that they were undetected.
Surreal.
And then they were able to be inside Israel for 6 hours without anyone being mobilised or deployed.
That's insane.
I mean, this is a militarised society. War is their core business.
Yeah.
It's astonishing.
I don't understand how that's happened itself, like exactly what you just said. It just...
And was it was inside Israel or inside in the Gaza Strip?
No, they've come from the inside Gaza into Israel, into southern Israel.
Right. Wow. That's fucking like... And again, like, what are they aiming to achieve? Because, I mean, we don't actually know, but... The thought process of, hey, let's just jump the border and fucking murder as many civilians as possible. What?
Well, look, it's a change from their previous change tactics. I mean, previously you'd have some fucktard Gazan goat herder who's had a bad day and then decides to launch a homemade rocket at a school bus, right?
Yeah.
But this was much more coordinated and sophisticated. And I think the Iranians are probably backing this because of the level of sophistication.
Yeah.
But the Israelis and the Saudis are about to sign a peace agreement. And I think the Iranians want to have that scuttled. And the thinking is that if we go in and provoke a disproportionate Israeli response and they go in and flatten Gaza, it makes it much harder for the Saudis to sign a peace deal and maintain their street cred in the Arab world.
And now that, from what I read, the Iranians are the ones that are funding Hamas.
Yeah, Hamas, Hezbollah, they're all Iranian proxies.
And would that have anything to do with the... big ransom that he just got paid by America?
Oh, look, I mean, I don't know if
disposable
that's
income.
I mean, I think some of that was proceeds of oil sales that were unfrozen. But who the fuck knows, bro? I mean, maybe it is the New World Order financing both sides of a conflict to bring about chaos so hegemony can be ushered in thereafter.
Yeah.
I tell you what, mate, these people pouring over the border in America, I mean, imagine if the Iranians put in operatives into the US like that.
Yeah.
And now there's all these sleeper cells.
There's no vetting anymore. The vetting's...
What vetting?
Yeah, exactly.
Not even netting, bro.
There's just nothing. Have you seen the amount of people just left at the border and they're just
where though?
In America.
Oh, no. What, from Mexico?
US, yeah, the southern border. No. It's fucking ridiculous. No vetting. No. I think it's I think the last month has been the biggest migration of what do they call them? illegal aliens.
I think that's what the Mexicans actually put on show. Illegal aliens.
Yeah.
But that's surely not by chance. That all of a sudden,
it just creates chaos. It does feel orchestrated. That's the tin hat sort of thing. But it when it's so predictable and it continues to happen over and over again, like you said, I think 2 or 3 years ago when you were on, you said said your words. We're going to see an inflationary cycle and war. And it's like if 3 blokes on a podcast could talk about it 3 years ago, it's not generally too hard.
I mean, you don't need to be a fucking massive intellectual to have your head around history and know that the history of major powers going broke is historically a war-creating environment.
Am I just? I'm just throwing something out there, like the weapons that they've got. Do they have anything to do with the weapons that were left behind in Afghanistan,
or the ones that have been sent to Ukraine? I mean, there's blokes walking around with fucking M4s. I mean, imagine if there's Javelin missiles now in Israel. How bad that will look for the West. I mean, we funneled all this money and weaponry into Ukraine, and they ended up in the hands of Hezbollah and Hamas.
So the Ukrainian war, the Americans have funded weapons and support
without monitoring.
And then that's been sold gone to...
Heaps of it's ended up on the black market.
Right,
heaps of
it's
gone
gone
to on the black market.
Now potentially Hamas and
even worse, the cartels in Mexico. I mean, imagine if you've got cartels running around with Javelin.
What's a Javelin one do? Does that take down
Javelin
helicopters?
is like a shoulder-mounted anti-aircraft or anti-tank weapon.
It just seems interesting that these people have got these advanced weaponry and they're... It just seems too convenient that they've left a shitload behind, and they've also laundered a shitload of probably money through Ukraine at the same sort of time. It seems
it's marvelous to see an Islamic militant with an American-made weapon in Israel. Like, what a fucking mind-blowing piece of history.
It's crazy, eh?
But everything's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence.
Well, I tell you what, I can't wait for, Branchy, is to see how long it takes for Hamas to get an invite into the Canadian Parliament. Fuck, what a laugh that was.
Oh my God.
Trudeau.
What the fuck? It was a Ukrainian Nazi, was it?
Yeah. Well, and it's just like, you didn't need to do much due diligence. Like, this guy was fighting...
Due diligence?
This guy was fighting Russians in Eastern Europe in the 1940s. Who is doing that, bro?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
For people that don't know, what you're talking about is they gave a standing ovation to a Nazi in Parliament.
Yeah, not just a guy who was a member of the Waffen SS.
Yeah, right.
Which is they're doing it out of love. They've not been forced.
It's not a job; it's a lifestyle, mate.
They've lent into that. They've not been in a situation where they live there and they're like, I don't.
How
like
did
these people.
How did that occur? And why did that happen?
Oh, look, bro, it's a comedy of errors, really. I mean, because remember, Justin Trudeau was out there freezing people's bank accounts, calling anyone who disagreed with him a Nazi, and then for him to host an actual Nazi. I mean, you couldn't fucking write that. We live in a South Park episode.
Yeah.
And Justin Trudeau is just Randy Marsh without a moustache.
With the ultimate punchline being he's going to be with old mate from France. Macron. they'll be lovers. Fuck. And then we're officially in a South Park episode.
Done. But back to the Israel, the Gaza Strip thing. So since 1948, Israel's been recognised as a country, and we're slowly progressing towards peace or something.
There's been a series of wars between the Arab states. There was the Yom Kippur War in 1973. Mm-hmm. And there's been other Arab-Israeli wars. But basically, the Israelis won every time.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, you invaded us, we're taking this piece of land.
Yeah.
But in the 1973 war, the Arab states were going to win, but for the intervention of the Americans.
Oh, what a surprise.
And yeah, look, it upset the Arab world forever. And the reason the Arab world hates the West is because of Israel and the way we support Israel.
Right. And Israeli are Jews and the Arabs are Muslim. Is it a Muslim-Jew war, or is it nothing to do with religion?
Oh, look, I mean, there is a religious aspect to it, but it's all about land and resources. And, if you had your land stolen from you, mate, like you don't forget that. I mean, I know what it's like when a comedian steals my jokes. I'm very angry, but I mean, I can understand how it's descended into such hate and brutality, and the humanity of it is just lost. And yeah, I heard the Israeli defense minister saying something like, we're fighting animals and we're going to treat them accordingly. I mean, that's the sort of language you would have heard German generals say in 1940. We are fighting animals.
Just saying that to
all he needed to say is, the final solution for Hamas and Gaza. I mean, and they're going to go in and turn that joint into fucking rubble.
And Netanyahu, he said there's no room for negotiation here. He wants troops on the ground. He wants an assault.
Mate, they just want to get rid of Gaza, I think, entirely, and the West Bank, because you got to remember, there is a right-wing rump in the Israeli parliament, in the Knesset, in the coalition, and they're ultra-Orthodox Jews, and they're mostly in the West Bank. But they're these crazy right-wing religious zealots, and they're the people the settlements in the West Bank.
Yeah, right.
And they're expansionists. They want more land and settlements, and they can't get that through a negotiated peace. So there is a faction in Israel that doesn't want peace. They want war.
But the Gaza Strip's occupied, the most densely occupied strip of land in the world, from what I read, and it funds 95%, or actually almost entirely, on international aid. So
Which the European Union have cut off their aid to all the Palestinians this morning.
Right. So is it just Palestinians that live in the Gaza Strip, or is it a mix?
I'm not sure. I would assume it's all Palestinians.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't imagine there's any Israelis
that
unless they're informants.
Yeah.
But what's this idea?
Now that it's cut off means that everyone's going to starve.
Mate, they've
And
cut
have
off.
no
They've cut
water.
off the electricity. They've cut off the water. They cut off the fuel.
Yeah.
It's a siege, and they're going in for a ground invasion as we speak, and it's going to be messy. And I can't see this not escalating.
And I cannot, for the life of me, remember where I've seen this, but this idea that if you are born in the Gaza Strip, you're born into death, I think is the word they use. It potentially was a Rogan guest, actually. And this guy, so what is it? What do they mean when you can't escape? Why can't they?
Well, this is what was so insane. Benjamin Netanyahu saying, I'm advising the civilians to leave Gaza. Where are they going to go, mate?
Yeah.
It's a fucking prison. It's not like they can go to Mossad and ask them for a counterfeit Australian passport.
Yeah.
They're
Because they can't
trapped.
go into Israel because that's blocked.
Yep.
They can't go out of the ocean because that's got a naval block.
Naval blockade, yep.
And then they can't go the other way because
Can't get
Egypt
into
control
Egypt.
that.
No, it's a prison. And
So they're literally born into a war zone.
And
they
this is
can't
why
escape.
the promise
rat
of
cage
Islamic
almost.
jihad and paradise is so appealing to them, because they don't get a say in how they live. They will have a say in how they die. And if they can die for glory and martyrdom and the betterment of the community in their mind,
Yeah.
of course they'll fucking do it.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that I don't know if there's an answer or not, like you see they've jumped over the border of Israel, gone in there, shot up all these people, but then abducted the women and raping the women from what's been reported. Now, why are they doing that if they like hate that culture? Why are they even like, why would they be doing that?
Wouldn't rape be one of the worst things you
I
could
don't
do to
know,
a person?
but like
So-
if you're a religious person and you believe in some sort of holy power, why are you doing that? Especially murder and death, like to me
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense.
Look, and this is the thing though about victimhood, right? Both sides see themselves as victims, and when you see yourself as a victim, you can justify
Do
all
whatever you
manner
want.
of horrible behaviour. And
Yeah.
you know, we see that on a micro level with people in the art scenes, right? People think they're
Yeah.
victims,
Yeah.
carry on like fucking idiots. Well, you scale that up into a national scale.
Yeah.
And like basically both sides, like I feel sorry for the civilians on both sides that have no
But
what's the word, power or what's the word I'm looking for when you have self-control. Agency, that's it. No agency over what happens to them. And just because they're born on one side of this wall as opposed to the other side of the wall, and then you have the fucking
This seems to be
extremists.
the issue in every war, and this has always been my sort of activism thoughts. Is like war is obviously horrific for two armies and the soldiers and the people who go to war for their country, but it's also the civilians that get caught in the crossfire. The poor Ukrainian people are being absolutely slaughtered for being caught in between basically what is a political fucking arm wrestle between the West and Russia, and this situation here is just, it seems like the people at the top are they're calling the shots, and the poor innocent civilians are the ones who end up being the ones who suffer the most.
I think what's overlooked also is the effect that war has on the Israelis. I mean, one of the most heavy conversations I've ever had was in a hostel in Bali, and I was talking to this Israeli guy who was there off his face on mushrooms, but he was telling me about his experience in the 2006 war.
Yeah.
He's like, it ruined my life, mate. He told me the story about having to pull the trigger on these kids that were teenagers.
Yeah.
And they've turned them into pink mist, and I can't imagine that's really good for your mental health.
Yeah.
It makes it. I think it's different when you're, operating a joystick and it's a drone. It's like playing a computer game.
Prince Harry
but when
style.
you can see it up close and you can actually see the visible effects of kinetic warfare.
I meet a lot of Israelis when I travel.
You kind of look Israeli.
Yeah, it could be.
If another fake Delby.
Could be. Yeah, I meet a lot when I travel, and one guy I met was he could never go back because he was supposed to do when they graduate. They have to do a year or two. Compulsory
3 years
service.
for men, 2
3
years for women.
Yeah.
Is that similar?
So he left, and he was a what's the word when you ditch it?
And a deserter.
Deserter. Yeah. So he could
Is that
never go
similar
back.
in Singapore?
Yeah, Singapore's got it. Switzerland has it. I mean, look, I think it's a good idea. Compulsory service. I think it instills in kids some discipline, some structure in their life, and some basic resilience. But if we tried to implement that now in Australia, there'd be someone going, "Oh no, this is a microaggression in here."
Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, there's part of me that totally agrees with that concept, based on exactly what you just said, teaching kids to be fucking harder and more disciplined. But there's part of me that I'm so anti-war, I just don't see the need for it. But at the same time, I understand that you can't.
Yeah. It blows my mind that we're supposed to be the smartest we've ever been technologically, and we are still going to fucking war. Like, you can't change human nature, I feel. No matter how smart the technology gets, you still have human nature and emotion.
I wonder if
fucking morality and illogical ideas.
Because there does always have to be that alpha, I guess, and there's always people fighting.
Ego.
Yeah, they're fighting for the power, I guess. So, because if it's unavoidable, how do you?
To be in the year 2023, and have this happen is mind-boggling, man.
Yeah, like it feels immature. Hey? Yeah, it feels like how pathetic.
You've seen what's happened in the past for hundreds and hundreds of years, yet we're still going to do the exact same and repeat the same patterns that our ancestors
we
have done.
We can't talk things through for whatever reason.
What did Huxley say? That men do not learn from the lessons of history is the greatest lesson that history teaches.
Yeah, that's a great quote, because watch what will happen next time there's a virus or a lockdown. No one will learn from what we just went through.
You know what? I've been having this conversation with people because they said, have you heard it's coming back? Blah, 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 blah. A comic said it to me backstage the other night. And I was like, well, I'd be interested to see how many people comply.
I think it would still be
well, and I asked him, I was like, knowing what you know now, what you lived through, would you do it? And he's just like, bro, if they've blackmailed me with my job, I have to do it. I've got no choice in the matter. I don't want it.
Yeah.
Fuck no, I don't want it. But he's like, what am I going to do? I can't starve.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fucking difficult thing. But
that's what we're trying to say slowly to our listeners.
Don't comply. Don't comply. Yeah.
With that.
With the absurdities. But back on what we were just talking about.
We won't get our funding if we keep saying that.
Yeah, well, with the peace stuff and negotiating and finding a neutral way. Everyone's going to lose a little bit. No one's ever going to be happy in all these sorts of negotiations. They're going to be, I wanted a little bit more and I wanted a little bit more. I get that. But, which was it the Accords that were Zelensky was...
Abraham
Accords? The Minsk Accords.
The Minsk Accords that Zelensky was supposed to sign and would have established peace. And the US stopped them. This was supported.
Boris Johnson to fly over and tell Zelensky, no, you're not signing the Minsk Accords.
Really?
And how's that Ukrainian counter-offensive going, by the way? I mean, fuck, I would have paid money to see the look on Zelensky's face when the news of that fucking attack in Israel broke. It's like, oh no, I need to cry wank, no more money.
So, what effect does that have on the Ukrainian war? Is there any, or does it just mean everything for us gets more expensive?
Well, look, the Ukrainian war's over.
Is it?
The Russians have won. There is no Ukrainian army left, and what's left of it is they will mutiny if they're forced to go out and be turned into.
When did this happen? That's the thing. I haven't seen anything. Is that because Ukraine's losing and we don't see any of that in the news?
The only thing that's keeping the Ukraine war going is the bullshit narrative in the Western press. It's
Really?
over. The Russians have won.
Ah. You're spreading misinformation, man.
Oh, allegedly.
Well, I mean, how do you measure winning and losing?
Yeah.
The Ukrainian counteroffensive, which was so promised to be, a game changer, is completely and utterly failed. I mean, at some point you have to fucking acknowledge the reality of the situation. But you know what? Who's loving the Israeli war? Is the Americans. It's like, well, Ukraine's out of the news, the Biden stuff's out of the news, Hunter's out of the news, the border's out of the news, and everyone's fixated on this one issue between the two pissant countries. Well, one's not a country in the Middle East, and it's
Palestine is a country, right, or no?
Look, lots of countries don't recognise Palestinian. It's not a country in the formal sense where it has a functioning government like you and I do. But, there are a lot of countries that don't recognise Israel as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess Russel Brand's out of the news now as well. So he'll be stoked.
Hello, you waking wonders. My $25 words. Here we are. Advanced capitalism's got us all fucked up. It's the corporate state fucking doing a hatchet job on me. I didn't rape nobody, I swear.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Well, look, I think two things could be true at once. I mean, the idea that Russell, at the height of his fame and power and drug addiction, may have done something not entirely moral or proper, I think is entirely plausible. Having said that, why has it taken this long for the allegations to come out? I understand why people don't come forward, but why not in the Me Too era at its height? You could have come out and said fucking anything about a bloke in that era and the mud stuck, and lots of people fucking lost their livelihoods and careers over an allegation. And I don't want to live in a world where people can be tried in the media and convicted on hearsay evidence. And that Sunday Times Channel 4 expose, they'd been researching that 4 years.
Yeah.
And that's all they fucking got.
Yeah.
Right. And then YouTube to come out and demonetize him on the basis of breached our community standards. He's not been charged of anything. Yeah. He's not been convicted of anything. But correspondingly, YouTube's still got R. Kelly's videos up on there. Jesus. And they're still monetized. Wow. And guess what? Wasn't he convicted of a child sex offence and is currently in prison?
Yeah, multiple, I think.
I'm gonna piss on you.
Yeah. It is. It's a pretty. Yeah, it is. The timing is quite conspicuous considering what he's been talking about of late. But yeah, you're right. You don't discredit either narrative, but he has been bringing up some very interesting.
It's a very curious timing, and you know what? I think anyone who you can not like Russel Brand, right?
Yeah.
But on a principle level, the idea that the English government is writing to tech platforms and saying you need to not host him and demonetize, I mean, that is enormous government overreach, and it should frighten everyone.
Well, that probably brings up a good point, that the censorship bills and stuff that are coming in place, because we see it came in without vote, without any larger democratic way of bringing this in the UK already, and we see that it's been used already to do this. I think potentially Rumble's going to be deplatformed if they continue to host him and monetize him as well,
because they call it a danger to public safety or something. And if your government can say that is a danger to public safety without any trial course and just take you off, that sounds very similar to something that was happening in World War II.
What's the danger to public safety? Is the danger...
It's whatever the government's saying.
What he was saying, what he's saying is a danger, or the fact that he's now a potentially a sex offender? Does that make what he's saying dangerous? What's the difference between what he's saying?
Is he's got an audience that's enormous, particularly women. Right, and it's how do you get women interested in these sorts of topics, right? Women are interested in true crime. Blokes are interested in history. Yeah. I think what Russell's been able to do, because he's, exotic and, handsome and eloquent, he's been able to sort of fuse current events, true crime and history into the one format. And he's got an enormous following in the US, in the UK. And I think because he's got the ear of women, that's why the governments particularly don't like him. But, I mean, yeah, it's because he's got an effective counterpoint and critique of the state. And
with the UK, they've turned into, with the aliens, the UFOs from Mexico and Russel Brand being on the news at the same time, Alien versus Predator 3. It's fucked, man. I think that the bill that they've passed and the one that that Australia's trying to pass that says if you have anything online that is misinformation that goes against the World Health Organization and the government, like the mainstream media, you are branded as disinformation and deplatformed. That's what they're trying to pass through. And the fact checkers, it's just done by AI and people that work for the government.
So everything that, for example, that we sort of said during that pandemic, ended up being vindicated.
Yeah, we would have been taken off air and deplatformed if this bill goes through.
And how does this bill go through? With bipartisan support, because remember, I think it was proposed by the previous government. Yeah, but they never got around to doing it, as was the digital identity legislation. Yeah. And this is all happening in the background very quietly while the voice debate takes place. And people are like, well, what's going to affect me more? Yeah. Constitutional recognition of the Indigenous people or the online misinformation bill?
This is the under the draft legislation, Australian Communications and Media Authority will gain considerable expanded regulatory powers to combat misinformation and disinformation, which they claim pose a threat to the safety and well-being of Australians, as well as to our democracy, society, and economy.
This genuinely
is frightening.
It's not only is it a danger to us as a podcast, because we talk about things openly and in real time.
Yeah, and so you should be allowed to question your government. But this is saying you can't question your government.
Your government is correct.
Your government's correct. And otherwise, you have disinformation, misinformation, and you're a safety. I've heard this before.
We are an anti-establishment fucking podcast.
World War II.
I just hate the weaponization of this word safe. You know, and you see it's just like in comedy, it's like people complain about, I didn't feel safe. It's like, well, fucking don't go outside then, mate. Yeah. The wind might hurt you. Yeah. You might get swooped by a magpie. You know what? Wrap yourself in cotton wool forever and don't listen to anything.
I don't like using other people's quotes, but Candice Owens was asked, how do you feel about the fact that your very presence makes people feel endangered here? Yeah. And she just said, life's tough.
Get a helmet.
Yeah, get a helmet. Next question. Like,
fuck. You see the question, I would have said, get a paper bag too. And you know what? And I don't want to say this, but I fucking will, right? Because every time I get a complaint or someone's upset with me about my jokes, and then I look at them on the socials, and they're just fucking cartoons. They are hysterical caricatures. They got the same fucking set of causes in their social media handles.
And the Ukraine flag. That's their gang. That's their posse where they feel accepted and they have a place. So that's why they're all the same.
But you know what?
It's just like anyone
that's a good point.
Yeah, they all do that because they feel like they've found their people and they're safe and they've been accepted and they've got that acknowledgement that they're special. So they found where they fit in.
Do you know, I mean, I think I've said it on this pod a few times about, the Perth Fringe, Adelaide Fringe, Melbourne Comedy Festival, and see who was selling tickets and who wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like there was a big cultural election taking place and the hokey wokies have lost.
Well, they still don't give a fuck.
But they haven't lost any institutional or bureaucratic power.
Yeah.
Like look, I mean, I think they're doubling down on their power because they can see that they're losing on the ground. Mm-hmm. And they're becoming more cunty and more authoritarian and more censorious.
It just blows my mind that such a fucking small percentage of the population have such a big say over the rest of us.
That's how the Nazis came to power, bro. But you know what it is? People are too afraid to say anything. Yeah. But people are too afraid to say anything. And, I don't want to offend the children in the room.
Yeah.
They're not fucking children. They are children psychologically, but physically they're adults.
Yeah.
Stand up to these people and challenge them on the words that they use and their outrage, because most of the time, once you pierce the veil of the pronouns and the buzzwords, you find there's fuck all there.
Yeah, you'll be interested to know that the drama that we went through that we spoke about on our Patreon that happened to me when I was hosting the awards, that person got a lot of money raised for them.
I heard about this.
Oh, bro.
And then fucked off with
then
the
left.
money.
Oh, my God.
Crowdfund my transition. No, I'm going to Melbourne to take ketamine.
Yeah. And I got told to do better.
Yeah.
Maybe they should do better.
So they is it's interesting the using of pronouns and correctly using pronouns. If I have a very close friend that wants me to refer to them in a certain way, I probably would. I'd probably call them by their name, to be fair. But I was watching Sex Education.
Isn't that a movie? Call Me By My Name?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I was watching Sex Education last night. And there's this season finale, and or maybe the next one. And it has turned into a very woke show. I still enjoyed the show, to be fair. Sorry if any listeners don't like it. But there was this whole scene where a transitioning woman into a man who refers to themselves in they, them pronouns goes missing. And the whole town is looking for them. And it was very difficult to watch as a viewer, not like for cringiness, just for the fact that they were saying they are missing. And have you seen them? Them's not too bad, but like they are. We've got to start looking for them and blah blah blah. So the whole actual direction of the script started getting confusing, and I had to keep reminding myself: you're changing your very language. You're changing everything that you know about a person. They were very obviously making the they them pronouns very prevalent.
It's weird,
in the
like
script
it's all
as
been
well.
fucking jammed down our throats for the last 5 years. I don't get it.
But it did make it very, very confusing. It made that whole scene very confusing because they were talking about multiple people, but it was the one person.
Let's take something simple like male and female, gender, and complicate it with confusing language.
Yeah. Why not just like fit in and fucking get some resilience and just be like, oh, this is society. Like, this is what we say. Why will I let that word affect me?
I don't want everyone to be the same.
Don't clip this. Let this be for all listeners.
Yeah.
I want people to be, a difference is cool, right? That's diversity. But like the moment you start asking people to impose your language codes on them, that's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
I mean, shut the fuck up. It's not like I'm out there imposing my worldview on you.
Yeah.
And it's such a small percentage. But I think that generally a larger group of people that are feeling disenfranchised and not special have found a way that they can now feel special and force themselves to have a higher power structure than others by controlling what they call them and being different and being special. That's my thing. But the thing that I found alarming, I've had it up here for a bit, the censorship, they can... the ACMA will be empowered to devise and enforce digital codes with a graduated set of tools, including civil penalties and fines of up to $550,000 for individuals and $2.75 million for corporations. Criminal penalties, including imprisonment, may apply in extreme cases.
So you're saying that if me and you on this podcast were to say something that the state classifies misinformation, even though the studies at the time may not be complete, they could impose $550,000 fine on me.
Yes. So platforms already do this. YouTube removed a video of MP John Ruddick's maiden speech to the New South Wales Parliament on the grounds that it contained medical misinformation, which YouTube defines as any information that contradicts local health authorities or the World Health Organization's medical information about COVID-19. So even though theirs was wrong, if you spoke against that, you would be fined and you would be imprisoned.
So all these times our clips were taken down, we got a lot taken down during the COVID era, but we were following the World Health Organization's guidelines. Like, for example, the mask stuff. We were saying that the masks are only 15% effective. And I don't have to go into the details, but 15% effective if you're showing symptoms and changing your mask and using the right brand of mask and blah, 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 blah. And we said this and it got taken down for, COVID.
Well, remember all the warning labels that were on the social media posts?
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm sure my account's still shadow banned over that whole period of time.
I think mine has been, like, as soon as we started posting stuff about COVID and misinformation and the West Australian, I was getting stacks and stacks of followers, and from then it's only been like, however the algorithms worked, I feel like there's some form of like
suppression and censorship. Bro, I reckon I'm fucking shadow banned on Tinder. It's that bad.
But
yeah, same.
I'm gonna post.
I don't want to fucking meet a woman that way anyway. I want to be old fashioned about it and have a chat down the pub.
Mate,
I'm going to post the media laws article.
Definitely agree with that as well. The apps, and I'm not blaming the apps, but even if I do meet someone on the apps, I'm like,
you know
hey,
what?
let's
There's something
catch up.
so beautiful about like having a conversation with someone you just met and like that chemistry and knowing you're like, oh yeah,
you're like, oh fuck,
yeah, this is on.
Yeah, well, not only that, just like, oh fuck, I didn't realize we were gonna click like this or whatever. Yeah, it's way better in person because you might think that they've got all of the right stuff or the right they seem to be in the same sort of thing. They them might be in the same sort of things, and then you get together with them. You're like, oh no, you're a fucking asshole. So yeah, in person.
I think it's better the other way though. It's like when you don't particularly like someone initially, but then they grow on you really quickly because you're like, oh, I misjudged you.
Yeah, I'm wrong about it. Yeah.
I just posted the article for Patreons as well, so you can have a read on
cool.
ACMA. But you're talking about having your land taken from you. That brings us to The Voice.
I did, yeah. Want to bring that up?
What's the go, bro? Explain, because you've always been a big advocate for Aboriginal people.
Yeah, well, look, it's testament to how bad the Yes campaign is going that fucking people ask me to explain it. You know, it's like, I don't know, why don't you just go and look at a celebrity's Instagram with their blue tick and their hand up? I told you to get the vaccine. Now I'm gonna vote yes. I still got a credible opinion. Yeah. Oh God, bro. Well, look, I mean, my basic understanding of the proposal is it's to insert, in effect, welcome to country into the Constitution, acknowledge and recognise the traditional custodians and owners of the land, and then the government's going to create a bureaucratic entity similar to ATSIC, but, you know, it makes recommendations to the government which aren't binding.
Right. Non-binary. Fuck, how did we get that in there?
Not binding.
Yeah.
So, look, it's largely a symbolic gesture, I guess you could say, that's going to cost...
$100 million?
Well, look, I don't know how much it's going to cost, but...
well, that's what they say.
But what are we
donated to the Yes campaign.
What are we seeing when the people who are pushing and supporting a cause like Yes are also the same people who support vaccines and push vaccines. Also the same people with the Ukrainian flag in their fucking bio. They're also the same people who would have their pronouns. They're always the same.
Government.
They're archetypes, bro.
Now, is it, or is this just a political
or
sort of
moral
side? This is like a left versus a right. Like I align with these sorts of values, so I have to agree with this no matter what because this is what my side says.
Well, there's a tribal aspect to it for sure. I mean, things are viewed through the prism of left and right more than ever. I mean, even science. Yeah. I mean, the idea that, you know, the greenhouse effect is now fucking a left and right issue astonishes me. I mean, no, this is objective, scientific, replicable scientific observation. That shouldn't be politicised. But yeah, mate, look, I think there is a huge trust deficit in the community and there's a hangover from the vaccine. People don't trust the institutions like the media. They certainly don't trust the government. They certainly don't trust the celebrity class. And this whole strategy of trying to get celebrity endorsements and this obsession with celebrity, I think it's backfired terribly. And you see Kamal on the project.
Yeah, that was great.
I mean, they got him out because he was an influential cultural icon in Australia.
From the 80s.
Fucking what? Your finger's not on the pulse of mainstream Australia, my demographic.
He got big from Hey Hey It's Saturday, essentially. Well, he was a bit bigger, but he was huge on Hey Hey It's Saturday, which hasn't been on TV for 25 years.
And then,
They just do a reunion or something? Yeah.
Did you see Anthony Albanese's pun?
Nah.
He's just like, because Kamal was originally a no voter and then he's changed his mind.
Wasn't it yes and now no?
Official information, and then he's gone on the project and Anthony Albanese's he's like, you know, we've got a new word today for the Yes campaign. We've coined it Kamal-mentum.
Oh my God.
And it's like, I love a shit pun, right? But fuck, that's horrific. And then Kamal gets on the project and Nazim Hussein's just like, you meant so much to me. You're a powerful Australian icon. Yeah, you're voting yes. We're so proud to hear it. And he's just like, can you talk us through? He's like, well, originally I was voting no and it wasn't an informed decision. And then I was voting yes and that was a semi-informed decision. And now I'm very completely and strongly voting no.
Yeah.
Bro. And you know what? The fucking Yes campaign was so happy to see that footage coming out of Israel filmed by Hamas because now they're off the hook for the worst PR award of the year.
How's Mia Khalifa today?
What she'd lose her fucking porn job straight away.
Whatever her new job is, she's lost it.
She deleted her Insta.
Yeah, she encouraged the Palestinians or Hamas to flip their phones and film horizontally instead of vertically.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I mean, it's a fucking dark take. Right.
Oh my god.
But yeah, with yes or no, I always thought we would be better as a society to acknowledge our First Nations people in the Constitution.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been pushing for the whole time. But the voice is one addition to that. Hey, it's not just let's recognize them in our Constitution. It's like let's recognize them and institute a body that's not elected by people, or it is elected.
I think it can be appointed by the government, or it's elected from different communities around the country. But what the idea that's taken... So I went to a Yes event in Sydney and I went to a No event in Sydney. And you know what, mate? Like, the white women made me want to vote no out of spite.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, the way they carried on, the interrupting Thomas Mayo and saying, as a white woman in Australia, we know what it's like to not have your voice heard.
Oh,
we
wow.
know what it's like to be oppressed. So you're really going to equate the suffering of women, right, who were there fucking all along the colonial ride, by the way, with that of the Indigenous people? You fucking righteous cunt.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Sit down and stop having an opinion because you're making it harder for the blackfellas, right?
Yeah.
And Thomas Mayo was a very persuasive, powerful speaker.
Yeah.
And the
And
blackfellas...
he was for yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're perfectly capable of prosecuting this argument on their own. And, you know, did you see that video of the fucking drag queen at the Yes event, bro?
Yeah, bro. Why?
Look, we're just not getting enough attention at the moment. We need to make this about us, okay?
In half an Aussie flag, half an Aboriginal flag as well?
But the Union Jack, bro,
Yeah.
on the corset, and it was just like, I got nothing against drag queens, right? I'm old enough to remember when they were cool, they were funny,
Yeah.
they had great access to disco biscuits. But now, mate,
With a Union Jack, which is oppressive to Aboriginal people.
fuck, bro,
For the
that was negative queering personified. I was just like, you know what? No wonder people have tuned out.
So, what were the?
Well, we're talking to Fabi. Yeah.
What are the concerns? Like the concerns for the no and the concerns for the yes. So the concerns for the no is it's I guess is it considered a step backwards, or it's that's what people are considering as a concern.
Yeah, I think the whole division argument is pretty weak.
Yep.
But I think for most people, it's an issue of trust and efficacy. There is an idea on the no side that this is somehow an elaborate bait and switch by the globalists at the World Economic Forum as a means to make us start eating bugs and owning nothing, and you will be happy. And you know what? Fucking... You can't blame people for that sort of skepticism. I mean, the idea that, you know, why don't they just say the fucking voice is safe and effective? It's been rigorously tested. Fucking better yet, if it's so good, why don't they just mandate it?
Yeah.
Why don't they fucking blackmail
No
people
shit.
with their employment again? It's like, well, the politics of shame's not working. This weaponized white guilt's not working. Let's blackmail people with their employment again. And if you don't vote no, you haven't got a job.
It's
And the other thing that makes people sceptical is corporate Australia's on board in a very big way.
Yeah.
Well,
ANZ
Rio Tinto are in yes, and what they've done
last week just blown up a sacred site. Just blown up a sacred site.
Again? Fuck. Well, not just Rio Tinto. It's like almost every mining company.
Right. FMG's a notable absentee on that list, which I found was very funny. But, you know, ANZ Chief Shane Elliott was in Senate estimates the other week. He's been questioned. It's like, have ANZ donated any money to the Yes campaign? He's like, yeah, but we're not going to disclose that until after the referendum. But it's like, then they make a hullabaloo about Clive Palmer donating $2 million. Well, at least he's disclosed how much he's donated, right? And, you know, between all the heavyweights of corporate Australia are on board, Qantas, Wesfarmers, Woodside, Rio Tinto, BHP, the banks.
That is the concern, because it is the blueprint. It is the blueprint we've seen for the last 3 years. It's the blueprint we've seen for many years.
And it's just the corporate world cloaking themselves in woke ideology to
gain
give
favour
themselves...
with the government.
Yeah, right, and to ingratiate themselves with the public. And these fucktards who have got blue hair and they go, oh my God, it's a weapons company, but they've got a Pride Day exhibit. You know, it's like,
And this is now the concern for and again, I'm still unconvinced of what I'm thinking about the whole situation. But if this is the right thing for Indigenous people, because of what they've done in the past, you have this instant skepticism about what they're trying to do, especially when it's the same. Especially when it's the same blueprint, especially when it's the same delivery.
It shouldn't be the government.
It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be that way.
The last time the government tried to sort what was right for the Aboriginal people ended horrifically. So it shouldn't be a
what are
government.
you referring to?
The stolen generation. The government decided that we know what's best for the First Nation people, and they fucking ruined.
I mean, I suppose the difference with that and what the current proposal is that the Uluru Statement from the Hearts had input from Indigenous communities around the country. I don't think they had any input into the stolen generation.
Right.
So that's my concern, is the fact that this could be a very good step forward for the Indigenous people, and we could be overlooking it and thinking it's a backdoor into more control or state surveillance or all these sorts of things, or a waste of money and money laundering. But it might just be the right thing.
The problem is nobody has explained it well at all. No one has explained, and they're like, well, you're uneducated.
Which is the blueprint.
Yeah, you're uneducated. Go look it up. Like, I've been looking for stuff, man. I'm still confused.
Oh, you're doing your own research, are you, Delbs?
I read an article from Warren Mundine, and it was very, very engaging.
Yeah, you sent that. It was very
He's
good.
a fucking interesting bloke, Warren Mundine. But did you see Anthony Mundine, challenged Thomas Mayo to a fight?
Yeah, that's not good.
Fucking... Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Not going to sort anything.
Okay, so the concerns for the yes. What are the concerns for the yes?
Warren Mundine was saying he's concerned that it just instills this reliance on government handouts for the Aboriginal people instead of getting Aboriginal people to find efficacy for themselves. And he said that if you look at an Aboriginal person that's got a high school education the same as anybody else, they have the exact same opportunities and the exact same ways to achieve and succeed. Mm-hmm. He said the main issue is making sure that we get that Aboriginal people to get to school. And he was saying that voting yes just creates this reliance on government to sort their problems out.
So like the idea of being told you're a victim doesn't help you get stronger.
Yeah. It was a really interesting read from an Aboriginal elder.
I think Warren Mundine's playing a game, though. I think this is a job interview for a Senate vacancy coming up. I think Warren really wants to be in the Senate, so I think this is him doing a audition, so to speak. But what I think is really sad is it's going to fail. It's going to fail spectacularly. I don't think there'll be a state in the country that votes yes. I think Tassie might be the only one, which ironically...
Which is ironic, yeah.
Wow.
But you know what?
Considering what their government did to the Aboriginal people.
Other explanations of, they ran a terrible campaign, people's lack of trust in their institutions, that'll all be overlooked, and it's going to be explained away by our colonial character, the inherent racism, and the explanation of disinformation or misinformation will be amplified. And I think that'll be the catalyst for the Ackman bill to come in. It's like, well, look, you ruined it for the Indigenous. We need to come in and correct the information that everyone's got. And Anthony Albanese, what a mistake to bet your entire prime ministership and squander that goodwill period and honeymoon phase of a prime minister's first year of a first term, with this fucking silly virtue signaling. And look, I mean, maybe that's a bit harsh to call the whole thing silly virtue signaling, but there are so many other pressing issues in this country as a matter of urgency that I think...
And that's what I was about to bring up. I think when we see something of such division like this, I always go back to the blueprint. What are they doing in the background? That censorship bill is potentially a very good thing that they're sliding in under our noses while we're all debating over this voice thing.
Distraction.
I think they should have given it some more time, to be honest.
Well, this is
feels
what
like it's
Fabian said.
Terrible timing. Everyone's more consumed with the cost of living crisis than they are with...
And to know how much they've spent campaigning, up to 100 million on the yes, and whatever the million thing is on the no, just to campaign and get this out there. I'm sure there's better ways that money could have been spent.
Yeah, putting $100 million into an Indigenous community potentially. Like,
but that was the other thing Warren Mundine said. He's like, we've put billions of dollars into, and where's it gone? Where's the accountability? What's happened with it? We still have these issues. So he wants to see some accountability as to, we're putting all this money into helping remote communities or Aboriginal people.
You that sent me Kevin Bloody Wilson?
No, I don't
Kevin
know.
Bloody Wilson's Instagram, and he's derided as a racist because of that living next door to Alan song.
Yeah.
What no one knows is that Kevin Wilson funded a music department at an Aboriginal school and didn't want his name put on it because he's like, that's not why I do charity.
Yeah.
But he said, it's like, we spent $33 billion. We don't need a fucking voice. We need a fucking audit.
Fuck.
Reverend is ever okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like after speaking with Fabian and he's saying, well, like, I feel like we need a leg up and a yes. And I spoke to one of my mates. He's of two Aboriginal parents and I won't name him, but he was like, well, his first response was a stand-up response. I go, what's your opinion on The Voice, bro? And he goes, it's got some pretty good singers on it. I was like, oh yeah. And then he said, I'm not too sure, man. He goes, I haven't really learnt too much about it. So
This is
like that for me. And the other thing I said to Fabes last week was like, shouldn't Aboriginal people be voting on it?
Well, there's not a uniformity of opinion amongst Indigenous people on this subject. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
But the other thing that it gets it for me, right, is in my life, the issues that I've seen affect Indigenous people disproportionately is law and order and mining.
Yeah.
And they're state issues.
Yeah.
Commonwealth government has no jurisdiction over those issues. What are they going to do? Give them a voice so the Commonwealth government picks up the phone to the state premier and says, you should really do this.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to tell them to get fucked.
Yeah. Well, the other point Warren's article made is that there are lots and lots and lots of Aboriginal advisory committees on almost every aspect of society. Like you've got ones that advise mining companies, you have places that advise legal companies, you have stuff that advises government. So we've already got all these different groups. So,
do you think us, for example, discussing things like this is just adding to division?
We wouldn't be discussing it if we weren't forced to have a referendum on it. We have to participate in this.
What's my fine if I choose not to vote?
I don't know.
$20?
Well, this is where
70
I'm at
probably.
with it, right? Like, I don't want to vote, but I will vote. But I don't want either team to have my vote. Like, that's how I feel about it.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel.
It's yucky. And every time I see one of these fucking blue tick basic bitches on Instagram with their fucking standard, yes, and the cat, I was like, the politics of shame and celebrity endorsements, it's just yuck.
Because I don't think this hasn't got anything to do. I'm sure there are racists that will use it that way, but it doesn't have anything to do with racism, man. Like just inherently by it talking about Aboriginal issues, potentially like it is a race-based issue, but like to be considered a racist if you're going to vote no, that's where that mixture of morals, politics, shaming comes in. And I don't like that, even if somebody is going to vote no. Like when Trump got in, they were saying, oh, you're a racist if you support Trump. It's like, well, no, maybe I actually think that this policy is better. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah.
Because, but we are forced to participate in this referendum. So, like, we are forced to be able to have to talk about it and we have a platform to discuss it.
Sometimes the way...
And if anyone feels like we feel...
Mate,
I still got no fucking idea.
I've been Victoria, New South Wales, West Australia, everywhere. I've been asking that question every night in my sets. Are you guys going to vote yes? And telling you, mate, you'd be lucky if 10% of the room says yes. Even in Melbourne, even in Fremantle, the progressive parts of the country, it's not even getting resonance down there. I mean, when I was in Sydney, I was people watching, right? And I saw this guy handing out pamphlets for The Voice, standing next to a bloke selling copies of The Big Issue.
Yeah, right.
And the bloke selling The Big Issue was getting more foot traffic than the bloke selling the Voice pamphlets. I mean, if that's not a metric of how bad it's failing, I don't know what is.
It just feels like it's been implemented. When did it come about? Maybe 2 months ago?
Oh, look, this has been in the works since about 2017. I think the Uluru Statement from the Heart was coming along.
Yeah.
But the campaigning is...
I feel like if the question was, should our First Nation people be recognised in the Constitution, you would have 99.9% as a
I've got
yes.
no problem with that. No problem with that.
Like, I feel that's what's been, for me, that issue that I've been hearing ever since, who was it? Kevin Rudd had Sorry Day. But really, they're like, yeah, well, sorry is not good enough. We want to be recognised in our constitution. Right or wrong?
Oh, look, I mean, there's not a uniformity of opinion amongst Aboriginal people on this subject, but there is an influential group of academics and I guess advocates for Indigenous Australia who were driving this for a long time. Noel Pearson, Marsha Langton. I thought it was really interesting what Marsha Langton said in Weekend Australian a few months back. She was talking about the ABC Boyle lectures that she did, and she said the people who were the most horrible and hostile to me were the lefties because they attacked me on the basis of what I thought I said, not what I actually said. And she's like, I blame them for so much of what's happened to us with their arrogant racism. And I was like,
yeah, they're more radical than fucking. Yeah.
But you know what? Like when I was in Melbourne, mate, like you don't see any Indigenous people in Melbourne. The only Indigenous people I've met in Melbourne were ironically down there campaigning against the voice. But then I crossed paths with an Indigenous woman in Melbourne, and she's like, "You look like Ben Cousins," and I was like, "Fuck,
we don't all look the same."
But I was like, that's a pretty good indicator. She's probably from Western Australia. And I was like, where are you from, madam? What's your mob? She's like, I'm not from here, from Perth. I'm a Noongar. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm a Wodgula. And we had this chat, and I said, what do you think about the voice? She's like, I'm not really sure, but, if Rio Tinto wants it, then I'm not really sure it's any good for us. And it's like, I didn't need Mark McGowan's translator to understand the sentence.
Oh, fuck. It's such a confusing, divisive, divided country at the moment.
Yeah.
And
it's just interesting that there's a divide between Aboriginal people as well. If it was going to be unanimously good for Aboriginal people, and then you've got the fact that what affects one Aboriginal group does not affect another Aboriginal group on the other side of the country. Like there are so many different tribes.
And it does just come back to that point we made earlier about there is just so much distrust for the state at the moment for what they've done for the last 20 years, not just like the COVID era and stuff the lies that have been implemented. And then, like we talked about,
can't say that it's going to be deplatformed.
The blueprint has been the same. And 5 years later you go, we were wrong. This was wrong. But move on. And then it happens again and it happens again and it happens again.
But you know what? I don't know how you feel about this, Branchy, but I've kind of got a sense that people resent you for the fact that you were right, and especially when it proves them wrong.
Yeah.
And people's egos are so powerful and precious that they can't entertain that I was wrong.
Yeah, well, no one likes to admit that, or no one likes to feel that way. I've listened to the audiobook How to Win Friends and Influence People, and the number one thing you can do to make someone not like you is make them feel dumb or make them feel wrong in an argument. You can't bring it up and go, well, actually, what you just said is bullshit and you're completely wrong. This is the truth. No one likes feeling that way. So if you
I've got no friends.
So if they are found to be wrong when they wholeheartedly believed in it, that means that they're less important or not as smart as they thought they were. So they'll double down if it's that blatantly obvious that they were so wrong. They'll just dig their heels in and stick to that point because they don't want to lose face.
You find that with
it needs to be a soft... a soft way of going, remember when we were talking about this?
Well,
you could have maybe framed it a different way, right? Maybe I could have. You could have actually been a bit more open. Yeah, I probably could have. Yeah, well, in that case, instead of going, you know what, you were fucking wrong, you dumb cunt.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to go, well, fuck you, man.
There's no need for ego on the correct side as well. There's no need for rubbing it in your face, I guess. But I find that even with, I made the mistake early, and it's a completely different area of topic, but it's the idea when I was quitting my job and trying to chase my dreams, and I started working and I started to, get the jobs and blah, blah, blah. But I started pushing people like, you should do it, you can do it. And then they would push against it because it reflected their own inaction and the fact that you were right. So instead of that, now I just do, and then if they're interested, they can
just got to lead by example.
I think it's the same when it comes to policies or the way we want to live, or like if you want to not comply with mandates or whatever, just do what you want to do. Don't have to tell anyone to do it. And then if they see that what you're doing is the right thing, generally they'll come to you.
But this
for
is the thing
advice
about,
or
the
want it
boy.
themselves.
Politics is the art of persuasion. No one's being persuaded in an effective way. And what you just said, Del, was about how to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in the Yes campaign's read that book.
Yeah.
Certainly not fucking Ray Martin.
Oh my God, bro. That was one of the most monumental fuck ups you could ever do.
What did you say? The details don't matter.
He literally quoted, he goes, if you don't know, the details don't matter. You don't even need to know the details. Vote yes. It's like, what?
Anthony Albanese said it was a powerful speech. It was like, bro, I'd hate to fucking see what you think about a shit one.
Wow. Yeah. And like just labeling everybody a dinosaur and a dickhead immediately will make them go, well, fuck I'm not going to even listen to what your yes is.
Right.
Yeah.
But this was like Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables comment. Right? It just fucking put a hair across people's ass and that fuck you. I am going right out of spite and get
Is that what she said about Trump supporters?
Yeah, they're a basket of deplorables. And this week she said that they need to be formally deprogrammed.
Yes.
Wow.
So the basket of deplorables comment sounds like a Valentine's card now after that.
Formally deprogrammed is what she did to the people's cars that disagreed with her. Just drove them straight into a fucking tree.
Dude.
Oh, fucking Jesus. Yeah, that's an interesting thing that's going on at the moment. All the indictments, and I've seen the recent indictment has gone to court, and it looks like he inflated the value of his property so he could. I'm broadly across it, but
Claim more tax benefits.
Oh,
or something.
dude, imagine that. One of the American elites engaged in financial crime.
Yeah, and then he paid that money back, so it's literally a victimless crime. So I think he inflated the price so he could borrow more money or something like that as collateral, or something along those lines from memory. And then they borrowed him more money, and then he still paid it back. So what the fuck?
No harm, no foul.
This is all they can find.
Yeah.
Fair bump, play on, in my view.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and look,
Trump.
Look, I'm so over it all, both sides.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And if Trump doesn't lean into the idea, like, I can't see Trump losing at this stage if he's going against Biden. But if he doesn't lean into this, it's not about me. We need to stop focusing on me and let's think about what we can do for the people. He'll lose a lot of support
Trump,
as well.
Didn't he broker a peace deal in Gaza, or was that somewhere else? He brokered a peace deal in the Middle East between.
It was the biggest peace deal ever established. But it was
this.
You guys, you're going to eat your hummus and you're going to shut the fuck up and you're going to keep out of each other's business.
Yeah. But he did broker a peace deal.
Was it with Gaza?
Potentially.
Between Israel and Sudan. My bad. So that's not Gaza.
Okay.
That's a different.
Sudan's an African country.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some Middle East.
The Prime Minister of Sudan.
This was a while ago, so I'm not across.
He got Morocco and Israel to make peace. He got Israel and
Sudan
to make
countries.
peace.
It was like 7 countries. Yeah.
He didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize.
But then Obama
got
voted in for and was black, so got given the.
Yeah.
Well, the Nobel Peace Prize is a joke, bro.
Oh.
I mean, fucking. Who was the most recent winner?
Well, the most recent Nobel Prize was the vaccine
creators.
That's right.
Yes.
The vaccine creators.
That was fucking hilarious.
We live in a South Park episode, bro. I keep saying it, but fucking you couldn't write the shit that happens in our reality.
Yeah.
So I've been really wrestling with this lately myself, and maybe you have as well, Delby. Like with our platform. By commenting on this, sometimes I go, right, fuck it, let's just have a fun one. Let's get a comedian on, let's have fun. And then sometimes I'm like, no, I want to call out the bullshit and the lies that I can see in the world. But sometimes when you do that, you just create more division. And I almost don't want to contribute to that. Almost don't want to contribute to that anymore. But I don't want to just let this bullshit just keep happening, because we do live in a fucking South Park episode.
Oh, look, man, and you know what? It's powerful to live in truth and confront reality as you see it. And you guys, you've seen success you've had. There's a hunger for it. People want to hear it.
They do,
because they can understand. They've joined the dots, and that was what was so awesome about COVID and the vaccine, was that it woke a lot of people up. And even people who won't say it publicly, privately, that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Imagine if we were wrong though.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have been wrong, and I would have put my fucking hand up and said. But you know what? I remember we've been on this pod once before, and we predicted the red wave. Mm-hmm. We were wrong. What did I do? Said I was wrong, and it's that fucking easy, friends. So
was that because it was a rigged election?
Wow, look, I'll leave that for others to judge. But I tell you what, if the voice gets up, that's how you know the electoral system's fucked.
However, if the voice does get up, it might be people that have that change of heart as they're going in.
I
literally was speaking to someone yesterday that did a early vote.
Maybe they voted twice.
Well, yeah, she was like, "Well, I was going to vote no," but then I got there and I was like, "Well, no, I need to vote yes." So there might be that well,
that's the power of the politics of shame, right?
Yeah,
but. Did I see that if you can vote twice and they can't?
Yeah, you can. In the same area, they have no way of checking.
So
you can go to any...
So maybe I just go vote yes and no.
Cancel each other out.
What do they need? A referendum needs 66% or more?
You need double majority. So you need a majority of the people and a majority of the states. So ACT and Northern Territory don't get a say.
I feel like that's what should have happened with Brexit. Because they fucking had a 1%, wasn't it, when they chose to leave?
Yeah, it was a very slim margin.
They completely fucked their country, man. The UK have fucking destroyed themselves.
The UK is a basket case, bro.
Yeah.
It is an absolute basket case. But you know what? That's where we're headed. I mean, we're just lucky that we're propped up by China's hunger for our commodities. Yeah. But once that stops, the money dries up.
But China also has a hunger for our housing market, and
everyone's got a hunger for our housing market.
It's going to be very difficult to buy a house soon for people of our generation and the younger generation.
No, I'm made peace. I'll probably never own a house,
and even finding a rental.
It would be good, actually. You mentioned that because I was thinking on the drive here, if we could get somebody that is an expert in the housing industry. Or economics or housing, I'd love to get someone to talk about what the prospects are. Because I'm looking at buying in the next 6 months or so. My dad is super conservative because he's Italian, but he's always been like, well, just wait 6 months and it's going to be coming down. Everyone's going to go fucked on their mortgage. He's in the building industry.
I would agree, but yeah.
But looking at houses are selling in 9 days, man. Like they're going on, and 2 days later they're being.
And this is what I'm
offer.
saying. It's not they're investors now. It's people up
right, and it's not just investors from overseas. It's interstate. So we look at a house and go 1.4 million. That's fucking extortionate. Some cunt in Sydney goes 1.4 million. That's cheap, and they come in and pay cash. I've got friends who are trying to buy houses. You put in an offer, and their agent comes in and goes, sorry, someone came in over the top with a cash offer.
40,000 more.
How do you compete with that? And not only is it that, it's foreign investors. All the Southeast Asian elites have bolt holes here for their fucking kids in case the shit hits the fan in their countries. I mean, residential housing is for housing, not speculating. And the idea that, I know a family... I won't say what suburb, but they own north of 250 residential properties.
Wow.
Like, who the fuck needs that many residential properties?
Someone that's making good bank on the rent.
Well, they're old Italians, Delby, and I tell you, they still got the fucking shorts they got when they got off the boat.
I better check if I'm related. I need to hit them up.
But I tell you what, mate, I was looking, because I want to move to Sydney and start looking for a place to live in Sydney. It'd be easier to find a place to live in Gaza at the moment than it would be in Sydney.
Well, you got to be an hour outside of...
Yeah, well, I got to get out of this town, mate.
Yeah.
And I got an opportunity for something in Sydney that, I don't think I can say no to, but it requires, being able to live and work in Sydney. And
But yes.
Well, you know what? If the vote yes crew came to me and said, Corey, here's 250 grand. Can you post this on your socials? I think I'd probably do it.
Money talks.
I think I'd probably do it at this point. Like, everyone's got a price, and that gets smaller and smaller.
What would be your price, Delby?
For what?
For vaccine mandates.
Oh. Fuck.
Really? Like, honestly, what would be your price?
I don't know, man.
I don't know if I have a price for that. Okay, let's just say... I
don't know.
Yes vote. Yes vote.
Oh, bro. Give me whatever you want. Just give me the facts and explain it to me why it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And if I'm on board...
Yeah.
Then give us whatever you want.
It was really funny. At that No event in Sydney, John Ruddick was speaking. He was the MP that had his video taken down by YouTube for misinformation. And he was saying, you know, you've seen the polling, it's going really bad for the Yes campaign. They're blaming Vladimir Putin. They're blaming Donald Trump. I'm still waiting on him to blame it on long COVID. He's got a point, doesn't he?
Oh, but that said, I'm not an established no voter. You're acting like I'm voting.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I'm still researching.
Yeah.
So,
which is fucked that we have to rush to get this done. So.
Yeah.
And that's, even Fabian said last week, he's like, look, I'm going to vote yes because I feel like the little fella needs a leg up. But even he suggested like it probably needs a couple more years of like working it in correctly. But it's it's an interesting thing. Yeah, you just brought up long COVID and like and after effects and stuff. I just wanted to also let everyone, all the listeners know, Mum had her operation on the weekend, and it was.
She's now dad.
Oh fuck! It was a resounding success, and she's going to be
awesome.
All good. She's still in hospital for
Such
the next
relief,
week or so, but she's all good. The blood clots didn't. They're still half-ish there, but they're sort of moving away. And
Fuck yeah.
So,
Happy
it's
days.
been a challenging 6 months.
Yeah.
Living with the parents as well.
Yeah.
Just that's been a fucking challenge. But it's been a great thing that's happened over the last few days for me. So
Very happy to hear that, mate.
Yeah.
But what's going on? What else has been going on, man? You got much gigs coming up? You said,
minutes.
you said you got your you want to go to Sydney. You don't have to talk about what's going on.
Yeah, well,
there,
look, I've got an opportunity there, which is
Next Premier.
No, mate, I wouldn't want to fucking be the Premier of New South Wales. It's fucking bankrupt cunt of the state. But yeah, look, I'm being forced out of the stand-up world, mate. So look, I've got to relocate, reinvent, and do something like that. I've been really enjoying my writing, long-form writing. Yep. My Substack's been going very well. So if anyone wants to read me over the longer form, you can follow the Jolly Gag Man Substack.
Yeah. And what is Substack? Is that a website?
Substack is like a free speech writing platform, and all the best journalists.
Not for long.
Well, look, mate.
This is
I think Substack is going to be the platform that determines the 2024 election.
You reckon? Yep.
Yeah.
Of Trump, of America, or of Australia?
America, and I think we'll go the same way. It's growing very fast, that platform. So I mean, it'll probably get stomped on at some point. There might be some effort to bring it into line with the government. But as far as I'm aware, it's a backdoor for the misinformation stuff. I could be wrong. But as long as satire is still a defence or an exception, we might be able to sail through. I don't know, mate. Like, the reality is the walls are closing in on censorship, and club owners are caving in to these petulant fucks who are like, I feel unsafe.
Yeah.
They don't want the heat, but they're doing everyone a disservice. So find your fucking balls and stop worrying about losing $25 in ticket sales for some blue-haired bitch who won't come to your show.
Yeah. Find your balls because they've still got theirs.
But you know what's so funny about this whole woke stuff, man? I was at a party the other week, right? I was talking to a mate of mine, conservative, progressive mind, but the vaccine changed him, right? And he was saying to me, he's like, I'm pulling my kids out of the public school system because of the woke curriculum. And ironically, he's enrolling them in a fucking Catholic school.
Wow.
And he goes, say what you will about the Catholics, Corey. They got their flaws and they might not teach evolution.
But they do teach sex ed.
Well, he's like, at least they're not going to be confused about the gender of the child they're about to molest. So they're not going to want to cut his dick off if they want to suck it, right?
Fuck.
In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and that's a boy.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It fucking goes off in the clubs at the moment, let me tell ya.
That's where the censorship bill comes in. Jesus Christ.
That's great.
That was our last episode. Fucking hell.
That's awesome.
That might be a good way to finish up, I reckon. That's
on a closer.
Good closer. That was good. We fucking went deep on a few little topics we wanted to.
Yeah. Trying to get educated as much as I possibly can. My brain, I've got massive brain fog today.
Do you?
Yeah, man. I had a great sleep
Because you had
night.
Did you have a sizable Sunday, didn't you? Or?
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Did Oktoberfest, man. Like 8,000 people. Fucking.
Yeah, man, that looks sick.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
a
quickly.
vibe, hey?
Yeah, it was unreal.
Quickly give us a bit of a rundown on that, because that was
Unreal,
awesome, man.
because we did it last year, so it was a bit overwhelming because we didn't know like how it was going to go to that amount of people. But then this year, me and Max Shane just fucking rocked up, like a walk in the park, man.
Dude, because I was thinking
so
about this,
comfortable.
because when I think most Australians see the idea of two white guys rapping, this will be shit.
Yeah.
But then you get there and you overwhelm, you're surprised, and they're going, fuck, these guys are good.
Yeah, so it's an element of surprise.
It's that element of surprise that works.
Yeah.
They love it, man. And Max Shane's such a good, like, stage hype man sort of performer.
Yeah, when
he's done it forever.
when
He
you
just
put
gets
that-
out. He's like, let's get your fucking hand. And
I couldn't believe that when you put that video up and he was doing that hype thing and they're all fucking look at me, white guy. Go.
Hey, don't do that. That's angle.
That's the third white, not the third right.
You can't go to 11 o'clock.
Fucking hell. But good, man. Good.
Unbelievable, man. And like we had that. We kind of fucked up because we were sitting at the beer hall. We thought that was the main stage. And the organizer's like, where are you? We're like, we're here. And he's like, you're on in 5 minutes. I was like, no, like we're here. So we're supposed to be on the main stage, but it worked out better because we had more people in the beer hall. And then we went to the main stage and did just a real quick 5 minutes because the DJs didn't take that long to set up.
Yeah.
And then the VIP stage went off as well. Like,
Sick.
yeah. So
And do we have way more listeners than we think?
I think so, man. And walking through Oktoberfest, every fucking 10 minutes, I'd meet a hard yarns. One of the coolest things, man, I'm like talking to these three birds, and one of them goes, oh, yeah, I listen to your podcast. I was like, sick. I go, which one? She goes, I've listened to heaps. I'm like, oh, wicked. Like, and she was pretty hot. I'm like, bro, we've got like fucking girl listeners. Then her friend goes, you don't have a podcast? I go, yeah, I do. She goes, you don't have a podcast? And I go, yeah, it's called Hard Yarns. And then just by chance, this dude walking past goes, Hard Yarns, fuck yeah, I love your podcast, man. And like, right in front. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't script this.
How's that for a flex?
Yeah, man.
Unzip.
That's the
was sick.
That's the best when it happens in front of not that you do it for ego,
Yeah.
but like it is when it happens in front of someone
And
else.
that's a moment of pure comedy too. Right? Like, that's the universe giving you a gift.
And I was taking a piss and there was a bloke, he was fucked. I was like, hey mate, you're all good? He turns around, he's like, oh, I know you. I'm a hardline. I listen to Hard Yarns, man. I was at Market Ground.
Fuck, man. It's I was Saturday night seeing a lot of people out, and people come up. It's fucking awesome. I'm actually I'm blown away.
Branchy
by
always
it.
talks about like no ego. And he's out. He's like, I'm Hard Yarns.
I fucking love. I don't. I'm at the moment. I don't. I'm pretending. I'm not pretending that I don't like it. I love.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Brand recognition.
It's exciting to me that we're making an impact. But then having seen Frenchie over in Sydney and every motherfucker stop him, like when we're trying to go for a beer, and every person stopping, and he's the best. He'll stop and talk to every single person. Part of me is like, oh, I don't want to get that big. that looks a little bit annoying.
But I mean, it happened to me in Melbourne. Someone stopped me. She's like, "Man, I heard you on the Hard Yarns." You know, I was like, "Fuck, good on you."
Fuck out of yarns.
So you boys are getting a bit of cross-country coverage. Good.
Just keep doing what we're doing, but it's for as long
until
as
the
we can.
Acma bill comes in, and then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Until
You're gonna have to
Trudeau's.
do live podcasts. Like, people are gonna have to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
I think that's the way live entertainment's all going. It's gonna have to become underground.
That's it.
But then the government can come in and shut you down and arrest you
Yeah, how do you get
for
tickets?
live disinformation.
Live disinformation? Nah.
You don't reckon?
Look, man, I'd like to see them fucking
just
try
having
it.
a
I
chat.
mean, it's one thing to have the legislation there, but another thing to enforce it. And I'd be very interested to see.
And also, it's a comedy show. You can't you can say whatever the fuck you
I
want.
think
in a
that law will
comedy
be
show.
struck down in the High Court.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an implied right of freedom of political communication in this country, and that's been established by the High Court in a number of cases. I think this is right for a constitutional High Court challenge, and the new Chief Judge in the High Court is apparently a very principled man, and my faith in the judiciary has recently been restored in many ways.
Nice.
So.
Okay.
Well, it says here, free expression has traditionally been considered essential to the functioning of liberal democratic societies, which claims to truth are argued out in the public square. Under the bill, the adjudication of what is and is not misinformation and disinformation will fall to fact checkers AI and other moderation tools employed by digital platforms, but the assumption that such tools are capable of correctly adjudicating claims to truth is misguided. Fact checkers routinely make false claims and rely on logical fallacies in lieu of passing evidence. In US court proceedings, fact checker claims are protected under the First Amendment, confirming that the edicts of fact checkers are just opinion.
So fact checkers can be wrong legally.
It's just opinion.
But but ours is just opinion. I fail to see how this is going to work at all. I would hope you are correct. And that
look, so do I, mate. I really do, because at the end of the day, the judiciary is what will save us from executive government going out of control. That's the separation of powers, and that's the whole philosophy behind the separation of powers. Is that the judiciary sits separate, and the executive arm of the government is separate to that. So wait and see, mate. But this country's had a great run of entertaining legal dramas. From the Ben Roberts-Smith stuff to
Johnny Depp.
Well, for Amber Heard and that whole thing, and then you had Brittany Higgins, that whole thing. Oh, the report into the ACT chief prosecutor.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
what happened there?
Basically, corruption, an attempt to pervert the course of justice, denying. I mean, Bruce Lerman sounds like a piece of shit by all accounts, but doesn't mean he did it. But he wasn't afforded a fair trial. The prosecutor was cheating the whole fucking time.
Really?
Whole time.
Right. Well, the most recent one, actually, but this is an American one, which I think is absolutely disgusting, is the Major League Baseball player.
Trevor Bauer?
Bro,
Me Too is dead, girls. Sorry, but the sisterhood killed her. Amber Heard and that fucking home-wrecking whore.
I can't
and there's no other way to describe it. The premeditation and the predatory thinking is just like the videos that she's... I mean...
Bro...
Mate, if the sisterhood wants to maintain,
they need
to hang her.
Yeah, they need a string drawer and quarter her in public domain, and anybody else that does that, because you're ruining people's lives. And
it's not an allegation.
Nah, explain. Sorry.
So I can't remember her name.
No one should remember her fucking name.
So she has a group chat, and she's matched with this Major League Baseball player who's worth 51 mil.
Yep.
In the group chat, she's like, net worth 51 mil, what should I steal? And the girl's like, take his cash. And then she's like, yeah, I've already got my hooks in. I got to get this. She said, I'm going to be a dirty little whore and get him to choke me. And then the next day, she pressed a rape charge against him, saying that he raped and choked her.
Oh, my God.
And was trying to get all of his money out of him. But luckily, he's got all the screen grabs of her premeditating and planning that she was going to put these false accusations against him. So, pretty fucked.
But he lost his fucking livelihood in the meantime. Had his name dragged through the mud. Yeah. It's a horrific thing to accuse.
MLB?
Yep.
Yeah.
Had to go play baseball in Japan or something, right?
From an accusation.
An accusation.
Which discredits all the fucking... true accusations, man.
Yeah, right? It dilutes the very real problem.
And that's why I love my Amber Heard joke, right? Because it says exactly that. You trivialise this for your own fucking vanity and you make it harder for the next woman to come forward who's got a real story to tell.
Yeah.
And you know what? Women cannot expect men to hold shitty men to account if you won't hold those lying whores, and I'm sorry, I'm going to use that word liberally because they are fucking whores. Like, to accuse someone of that falsely is the worst thing you can accuse a man of. The worst thing.
Yeah, it's fucked, man. And then let's say if Russel Brand's accusations are true, it's just diluted that.
But you know what? And that's why it's not stuck in the public mind, particularly women, because women know, we do make shit up sometimes, and there are some crazy ones amongst us. Just like there's some crazy blokes. And, this whole Me Too era and the sanctification of women that presented women as morally pure individuals who never told lies and did no wrong and were immune to human frailty was fucking insane. Yeah. And the fact that it's dying, sayonara.
It just sucks, man, because it's just bad for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it's It sucks for guys. It sucks for girls. It's just fucking crazy people out there, man, that don't make life easy for the other people that are involved.
That's a depressing way to finish the episode.
So, ladies, if you want to catch up for a drink, me and Dells, we don't want to meet on dating apps. We just want to go to a pub. I can't even go to a pub because I still got a fucking ban from licensed premises until November.
What?
Yeah.
He got his dick out.
No, didn't get me dig out.
What? I was going to say, well, fucking, I should be gone then if we're getting dicks out in public.
Regal Theatre.
Yeah, Regal Theatre.
What did you do?
Mate, I went to
Allegedly.
a gig at the Comedy Lounge and I had a very good show. And there were some friends in the audience. And when you have a good gig, everyone wants to buy a drink. And anyway.
Are you not taking responsibility for your drinking actions?
One too many.
Yeah.
And I went out with some lawyers and anyway, crossed paths with a couple of coppers and mouthed off at them. Said, you guys team Ben Falconer? And this copper's just like, have you been kicked out? I was like, nah. She pointed at me, talked to the security guard. She's like, well, you have now.
Yeah.
And I blew up. And anyway, they handcuffed me, put me up against the patio and said, mate, we'll give you one chance to apologise and we'll let you go. We got the body cam on. And in my mind, I was like, Corey, you could just apologise and go home.
Yeah.
But also, this would be fucking great content.
I ain't fucking leaving.
So I just said, all right, I'll apologise. I just wanted a succulent Chinese meal, you fucking dogs.
I see you know your judo well. Get your hands off my penis.
So yeah, you got fucking strip search, the whole kit and caboodle.
Fuck.
Oh, well.
Oh, my God.
At least you know you deserved it.
For enjoying us.
I owned up, popped it on the chin.
Oh, classic. All right. Well, do you have anything to plug going forward?
Nah, just subscribe to my Substack. Fucking.
And is it substack.com or something?
Jollygagman.substack. I don't know, but if you just Google Jollygagman Substack, you'll find it. But you can find the link through my socials and yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Delby?
Adelaide show tomorrow night.
Yeah, sick. How good. Oh, travelling comedian these days.
Killing
Jesus.
it.
Like,
I fucking love Adelaide too.
I've never been.
Mate, people hang shit on Adelaide, particularly from Melbourne, but Adelaide's a wicked town.
Okay, cool.
And like, we've got a lot in common with Adelaide. Like, we're both footy mad.
Yeah.
The only two states the British did nuclear testing in.
Nuclear testing in.
Yeah, bro. The British tested nukes in South Australia and Western Australia.
Might explain why we love fucking drugs so much.
The mutants.
We got a
we've
mutant.
got a Patreon coming, don't we?
Mutant amphetamines.
Yeah.
We got a Patreon coming to your show?
Yeah, apparently he messaged you.
Yeah, I can't remember the message on the hard yarns, but yeah.
Yep. If any other Adelaide people, if you want a discount code, I'll chuck it on the Patreon.
Yeah.
And it's at Arca Bar, and then I'll be back for next week. So Friday, date night comedy at Side Splitter. I think there's 15 tickets left. And then wedding Saturday, and Saturday night doing a fundraiser quiz at Inglewood Sports Club. So if anyone wants to get around that.
It's a good club, that one.
Fuck
So,
yeah.
Yangi. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I just want to point out we've got 3 cameras today, so I want to make note of that. So that's like the Patreons, and obviously it's Delby's camera, that one. But the Patreons, you guys are making this sort of possible. So we've got 1, 2, 3 cameras today, which is the first time we've had that. Which I had to live switch today. So I apologise if I was up behind on any of them, but I think I did pretty well. But thank you so much to the Patreons. That's what I want to say, because it's the money like that helps us do all this, and yeah.
Yeah. Should we put an ad out just on air? Does anybody have switching experience?
Switching experience and
like-
doesn't want money.
Can send in like a resume.
A resume, yeah. I don't know. I get
It'll
worried
be good
about
exposure for you to come and work on the Switch.
I get worried about that. I vet the messages of trying to come on the podcast pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Like I've said a few times, if you message me asking me to come on, generally it's a red flag.
Yeah.
I do look into everyone who asks.
Yeah.
Though. I do look into everyone who asks, and generally sometimes we're just too busy, and I do want to get back to you, so I do apologise. But anyway, regardless, Patreons, thank you very much. I'm at True Grit this weekend MC for the 2 days, so if you're down there, I'll see you. And then the 27th and 28th, I'm in Froth. I'm at Froth Craft Brewery doing comedy on the Friday and the Saturday night. And on the 3rd of November, I'm at the Warroo Comedy Shack doing comedy there on the Friday night.
Fuck, that room goes off, eh?
Yeah, fuck. It's just, bonkers. Well, that's where I opened up for you that night. So that was
that room goes off.
Dragan has got it humming. He still doesn't know how to introduce the MC though, so we're going to work on his introductory skills.
but
Look, if you haven't learned after 10 years, I'm not sure you're going to learn, are you?
He'll be listening. So Dragan, just throw it over to one of the comics and we'll introduce our MCs.
And aside from that, I'm just looking forward to doubling down on a heap of podcasts and content and going hard with this because it's getting there. It's getting there, Delby.
Oh yeah.
But sick.
Cool.
Thanks for coming on today,
Cheers,
mate.
boys.
Peace.
Take it easy. Until next time.
Pleasure as always.
Till the intro.
Sleep well, tiny dancers.